Hey guys, welcome back. So it wasn't too long ago on YouTube that there was this trend of videos where people would explain a concept in 4 or 5 or even more different varying levels of difficulty. And I thought I'd bring that back. So in this week's video, I'm going to show you guys how to make a house beat from beginner to expert. So there should be something for everyone in this one. Without further ado, let's get into the video. Okay, for level 1, we're going to need 3 main elements for a basic driving house beat. The kick plays every beat, the snare on the 2 and the 4, and the hat on every 8th note. We can visualise this nicely by copying over our kick notes and shifting them 2 to the right for our hats, doubling up our kick and the snare every other beat. The kick drives the beat, the hat on the offbeat creates the rhythm, and the snare overlapping on the 2 and the 4 adds a nice bit of variation. You can consider sounds with similar sonic qualities to replace the snare and the hats, like a clap or a ride, but this general formula gives you the bones for a house beat. Here we have our beat with a clap, but let's, for a spicy bonus tip, consider playing both together. Layering these 2 elements with similar sonic frequencies should lead to a fuller and punchier sound. Right, we have the bones of our beat, but it's just sounding a bit bland. So what do? Level 2, adding melodies, rhythms within rhythms, and additional drum elements. Toms have a tonal quality to them and could be used alongside a kick to create a melody in our beat. Here I've programmed some notes at the start and end, almost like a call and response, making sure not to overlap with the kick. The back and forth between the kick and the toms is what creates this jaunty, melodic quality which I'm after. Next, I want to fill up some of the silence with a constant rhythmic drum element. A shaker will do the job, providing a steady presence to drive the beat on. Finally, we can turn our attention back to the tracks we've laid down and edit the drums' velocities, how hard the drums are hit. Editing these will give our drums more variety and will catch the attention of our listeners' ears. A handy little trick to get some random velocity is to command hold, then drag the velocity handles to set a range to randomize from. Just a quick thing, if you're enjoying the video and you want to help me grow, please consider giving the video a like. It seems to help the algorithm suggest the video to other people. Alright, back to it. Level 3, turning that 1 bar loop into a nice 4 bar loop. We're talking variation. Now let's start by adding a crash at the start of our beat. It's a useful part of most drum kits, as in house music, it's usually used to signify the start or end of an 8 or 16 bar loop, as the long tail helps bridge between the sections. Let's extend the clips to 4 bars in length. You can double any clip's length to match using the 2 times feature. Let's go through all our drums and add some variety. I'll start with the toms as they're driving the groove. I'll keep the first half the same, but the newly doubled section, I'll add some variety too. To finish the loop, I'll have the toms fill the end of the phrase, making sure to still not overlap the kick. I'll then go through and apply this technique to the clap and snare, leaving us with this. Final level of complexity. For this, we're going to be adding panning, automation, builds, and effects. Effects first. Now, I won't go into too much detail, otherwise the video will be 20 minutes long. But basically, I use the drum bus, pedal, erosion, and EQ effects to shape the sounds to what I want. If you want to see me go into more detail, then check out my video on processing kicks after. Here's a before and after to hit what the processing has done to the beat. Now let's turn our attention to the end of our loop, creating a nice snare fill to help smooth out any transitions into new sections. First, I'm going to program in some MIDI notes to create a nice little fill, then a snare roll at the end. Next, I'll edit the velocity to increase over the fill to build energy towards the end of the loop. To sell this effect further, I'll use automation to increase both the snare's decay and EQ frequency, so the hits become more prominent and longer. Finally, I'll have the snare's pitch increase towards the tail end of the fill, and this is what you're left with. Rather than a stale repeating snare hit, we've got a constantly evolving and building snare fill to round off our loop. I think this works best at the end of 8 bars, so I'm going to double the loop again. To make room and add a bit of variation, I'm going to have the shaker drop out to allow the snare fill to take centre stage. We can also look to add a couple more hits at the end of our clap and crash clips. Now let's quickly touch on panning, which is more of a point towards mixing than it is towards composition, but I thought I'd quickly mention it here. Now, why would you want to pan? Surely everything sounds best balanced and down the middle. Well, imagine if I tried to take a picture of my mates. I'm not going to get them to stand in a line, as they'd be blocking each other. Instead, I tried to make sure they all had space to be fully in the frame. Really, it's the same when we're panning our drums. We want to give the elements their own space in the mix so they can stand out as separate elements. For our main elements like our kick and hat, we want them centered, but the shaker and toms we can push to the right and left respectively. Because we also have two elements playing a strong 2 and 4 beat, we can pan them left and right too. Finally, to add some more variation and interest, let's look to modulate some parameters on our effects. Let's use the handy LFO tool to modulate the erosion on our hi-hat. I'll set the wave to random with the rate at 1/4, limiting the parameters and applying them to the erosion's width and amount. I'll do the same again with the tail and decay of my clap. You can use this across your track to give it more variation and movement over the loop. So that's the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this format. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see another one, and if so, what you want to see it on. If you liked this video and you want to learn a little bit more about drums in Ableton, then check out this video where I break down some house bangers and show you how they get such effortless drum grooves. And as always, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. Helps the channel out, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.